Sword Art Online. Either you love it or you hate it. Now, where do I stand on this? Personally, I actually really like the show, but as for the games, I haven't really been the biggest fan of them. And the reason because of that is that the gameplay just didn't look very appealing to me, and I thought my mind would be changed if I read the reviews, and it really didn't. Every review for each game that came out said that it was pretty bad. But then, a new game was announced, Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet. When I first saw the trailers, the gameplay actually looked really appealing, and when I read the reviews on the game, they all said that it was pretty good. So I decided to give this one a try, and here are my thoughts on it. Okay, so the story mode in this game is pretty interesting. You play as your own player-created character that meets his childhood friend Kureha, and she basically introduces the player-created character to a VR MMO called Gun Gale Online. And they soon interact with the cast of Sword Art Online, which is Kirito, Asuna, all of those guys. And, they basically go on this big old adventure to solve the mystery of a mysterious death that's been happening in the game. So for the most part, the storyline is pretty interesting, and it kept me invested and interested. It did a good job at that. Alright, now let's talk about the gameplay. So as I mentioned earlier, you play as a player-created character, and as for the character customization, it is pretty good. And this is one of the reasons why I didn't play any of the previous games, because they either didn't have a character creator and they just made you play as the main character Kirito, and in the only one where they did have a character creator, it was just a customized version of Kirito. In this one, you actually have to create your own unique character, which is good because they're not just using the main character. This helps you immerse yourself in the game a lot better. And as for the character customization options, there's definitely a lot of options to make the character sort of look like yourself or just make a really cool looking character. So there are a bunch of character customization options, and you basically get to customize yourself and your Arphasis, which is a NPC in the game within the game that you meet early on. I really wish more games had the level of character customization that this one has, because I would love to have this kind of character customization in other games like World of Warcraft or any of the previous Sword Art Online games. So besides the character creation, this game is a third-person shooter / RPG. Now, I wasn't actually sure if I was gonna really enjoy this game since I'm pretty bad at first-person shooters. I thought maybe I might enjoy this one since it's a third-person shooter, and I was right. This game has a really cool feature where you don't have to aim exactly or directly at an enemy. You can aim around them, and it'll still do a decent amount of damage. Now, I really like this feature because it's definitely really helpful for someone who's really bad at shooters like me. It's definitely really helpful in that regard. And if you don't want to use a gun still, you can use a sword, which is actually what I do in most games. But surprisingly, in this one, I didn't find the sword gameplay really that appealing. It felt kind of difficult for me to actually get used to using a sword, so I normally just stuck to using gun. Most of the enemies are pretty easy to kill, especially if you're at the recommended level. But the bosses in this game are pretty unique because they are crazy powerful and you definitely will not kill them on your first try. Normally you'll have to fight bosses over and over again until you realize whatever pattern they have and find strategies in order to beat them. Now this could get very tedious and very grindy at some points. It can definitely do that, but that's just how the game is, and I accept it because eventually you will find a strategy to beat every boss, and the feeling of finally beating a boss that you had to fight over and over again is indeed very satisfying. If you're not interested in grindy type of gameplay, I don't suggest playing this game because you have to grind a lot. Even early on in the game, you sometimes might not be at the exact right level in order to get past any dungeon or any quest, so you will probably have to find a lot of strategies in order to grind near the early game, near the mid game, and even near the end game. So if you're not into that, I don't suggest playing this game. So yeah guys, overall that's everything I wanted to mention on Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet. I'm sorry if this video came off as a little bit short. In a lot of my older game reviews I added a lot of fillers, so I've been trying to fix that, And yeah, thanks for watching.